everyone, and welcome to the Odd Ducklings. In today's episode, we're actually going to be talking about a subject that is very close to my heart. We are talking about PMDD, which is a condition that I not too long ago found out that I had and had to kind of learn how to manage it. And in a lot of sense, it's something that brought me to the point of making this podcast. So I am very, very honored to have another fellow fighter. Yeah, so Arianne Cooley is joining us today. She will be telling us a bit more about her experience and enabling me to open up a bit more about my condition as well, which is a bit different from the other episodes. And I really appreciate her giving me the time and space as well. Arianne, can you tell us a bit more about yourself?
Sure. My name is Arianne Cooley. I am the proud mother of 3 beautiful little girls, and I am the co-owner of Renegade Virtual Trades and co-founder. We help small businesses optimize their strategy to reach more people and to capture their brand voice and bring it to life. And I am very passionate about helping small businesses flourish and grow and connect in an authentic way.
Hi everyone, future Daria here with the evident long hair and color that is different from the episode that you're now watching. So this episode has been recorded a while back, took me a bit to kind of edit it because of how it is very emotional for me, having PMDD myself and it being the subject of this interview. Arianne Cooley was very nice to be having this very intense conversation about what she experienced as well as how she grew it all into a profession. I just wanted to jump in and give you 2 disclaimers. First one being, talking about PMDD is rough and you might run into conversations about thoughts about slur slide. If that's something that's hard for you, note it's just 1 or 2 mentions, nothing really in depth, but don't be afraid to say this is not for me and I'll see you in the next one. Second point that I wanted to say is, as I said, PMDD is something that I have and it's a subject that I find really hard. You will be seeing me making a bit of a weird face or sniffing, and I decided to keep that because that was the true nature of what we had there, and I wanted to keep the true conversation. But don't take it personally, it's just my way of kind of trying to stay professional, despite having a very emotional reaction. I think I was also having a PMDD session during that time, so take these faces that you might see that I might notice more than anyone else because, of course, with a grain of salt. But I think it's a very good one, and Arianne really is giving a lot of interesting information, and her life is absolutely fascinating. So let's get started. Let me start by asking you where you are today. What can you tell us about? So, mentioned already that you have PMDD. You've mentioned some of your experiences, but you went through a process and you got to the point that today you co-own a business and you actually made a career shift that was really interesting. Tell us a bit more about it.
So I live in Arkansas. My husband and I own a home, and we have 3 little girls, ages 4, 6, and 8. And I own a business with my 2 business partners, 2 friends of mine. We've worked together for a long time. We worked together previously in another business before that. I have the freedom to work from home and choose my clients and choose who I work with and when I work. I have the freedom to stay home with my little girls. It's the summer right now, so I'm working like 2 days a week. And it's fantastic. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful business. And I'm really proud of what I get to do every day and who I get to help.
So when you're saying you get to help, what do you mean by that?
So we work with small business owners. We work with a lot of coaches, like life coaches and business coaches, women business coaches, and health coaches. And we help them set up all of the online business part of their business. So we'll make them websites that are beautiful and designed exactly how they want it to work and to look like. And that really speaks to their brand voice. We really specialize in nailing people's brand voices and helping them share their authentic brands and their authentic selves with the world. So that's the part that I love the most, is the writing part. So I meet with them and talk to them and get their flow of how they speak and how they write and how they express themselves and their story. And I encapsulate that in copy to put on their website or in social media, automation funnels and that sort of thing. And we work really closely with our clients. Our clients become like our family. We get to know them really well and establish many years long relationship with them. So I'm really lucky to work with the people that I work with, and I love my coworkers, my business partners, and all my clients. And I get to work virtually and take care of my family and stay home. So it's amazing.
So we talked about where you are today, and I think naturally I already stated there are a few like changes that you made that I find kind of awesome. We didn't really get to the point where we also talked about why you decided to make the change. And I think this kind of originated, we touched on this just a tiny bit, from PMDD and everything there. Would that be like a right assumption?
Yeah.
I guess my question was, tell us about your experience and how you found out you had PMDD, what PMDD is, again, as much as you're comfortable, how it impacted you, and what you did about it.
Yeah. So I 4 years ago, right when COVID started, I had just had a baby. I had a 2 week old baby when everything shut down. My husband lost his job, and my income was the only thing that we had.
So at that point, are you independent or what?
Yes, I was working with the previous iteration of our business, which fell apart that same month, actually.
I did want to ask before we jump into the answer itself, like what made you choose to become a virtual assistant and start this process? How did you go down that route?
I had my daughter and we had to move. We moved from Colorado to Florida. I started working from home with her. And that was kind of where I was like, I don't know if this is just going to be temporary or if I'm going to continue doing it, because I was working in an office and I was doing accounting and I was doing the like, QA/QC kind of stuff like that. And after I had my babies, my PMDD symptoms, what I would learn were PMDD symptoms, got worse. And when I had my third daughter and COVID started, everything got like way worse, which I've seen with PMDD, where when there's extra stress and there's extra pressure, or the birth of a child can make it accelerate it, which is the case for me. The birth of my last daughter really accelerated my symptoms to the point where they were so dramatic that I couldn't really gaslight myself about them anymore. What
Yeah.
I'd been doing for pretty much all of my life, I would have these once a month with, for me, it was right up to ovulation, the week of right before ovulation. And then when I ovulated, it was like a light switch flipped in my head and I was totally different. My brain would clear of all the depression. And what really happened was after the birth of my third daughter, it got really bad. And I had a month where I felt suicidal, which I'd never had in my whole life. And I knew that it was something else because on Thursday, I was ready to walk into traffic. And on Friday, I was totally fine. Because I'd had kids at that point, I knew about checking for when you're ovulating, what the signs are, which you never learn about in school.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe
forget
you do
school.
in, okay.
So, I mean, at least you
Yeah.
learn. We don't have the banana thing, but you learn that you, like when two people love each other,
Yeah.
then they
Yeah.
make a baby.
There's no education about your own body and your hormones, which it's such an important cycle that you just never learn about. So after it took me having that, and I reached out to my therapist and I told her what happened and how I felt, and she came back with, it sounds like PMDD. And at that point I'd really gotten like focused about charting my symptoms and getting it isolated. And I looked at how my ovulation, and I could tell finally that they overlapped perfectly. And for me, the end result of that was getting a hysterectomy, which I
Okay.
did 2 years ago, which is a really extreme step. And it was basically the only treatment that they told me that I had, which I know is not.
Oh, wow. One of the reasons I'm very excited to have you today is because what started and kickstarted this podcast for me was the realization and the fact that I learned that I had PMDD. And I am not sure if we talked about this on record, but we talked about the idea of being served a certain solution, especially with women's care, right? And
Yeah.
then that one solution is the only solution if it comes to, as a teenager, you can only take the pills, or if it comes to you went to the one doctor and they immediately send you to do a surgery, which is a hard choice. And I assume you learned it later that a lot of people with PMDD actually only get to the point of doing a surgery after trying oh so many things before this.
Yeah. And I had to make that decision. Like, I had to think on that very thing. And it was a really hard decision, especially because I have medical trauma and I avoid all things medical.
Yeah.
And so going into a hospital was really hard, and trusting myself under and recovering when I had 3 kids and my own business. And what really helped me make that decision was the fact that I'd already had 3 children and I knew I was done, for one. And number two, how scary it was, that moment. So, and the hysterectomy and the partial oophorectomy fixed it to a degree, but I still have that one ovary, so I don't go into chemical menopause.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, I still have the same thing. But being aware of it is huge. And having the other things in place, the other mental health strategies in place that I've been working with, that I've been learning about. So, my choice to have a hysterectomy, absolutely not for everybody.
Yeah.
I don't regret it though.
I'm happy to hear that. I wanted to ask, so you already touched on a point that's basically you had to really get to a point where it scared you to notice that this is what you have. How long
Yep.
do you think have you been living with this?
A long time. As far back as I can really, a teenager when I first started. And it was not as bad. It wasn't as pronounced and it wasn't as often. When I reached that third pregnancy and all of the different things that kind of came at once and coalesced, I could really chart it clockwork every single month, every single day before my ovulation. It was a batch of symptoms that were kind of cyclical stomach issues. Sometimes I would be in bed with intense gastrointestinal things. And it came back as I didn't have a flu or anything like that. And it was exactly that week. And then the mental,
Yeah.
yeah.
So for me, it was, I hope it's okay. I'm going to use
Yeah,
this
tell me. Go
opportunity
ahead.
as well.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly when it started either. And I think it's a common occurrence for people that I don't know how far to go back to actually say this. At
Yeah.
this point, I already had PMDD. I can also tell you, I think it's something that people who try to get pregnant, people who want to have kids, are usually, they go into the details of how ovulation work. I have absolutely no education on this matter, and I feel a bit ridiculous because, like, why
Yeah.
wouldn't I have it? Now I'm smarter to an extent. I can still get smarter on this naturally. I got into the situation where I was realizing that I was burning out, but it didn't make sense to me that I would burn out. And I kept getting sick. And I usually would take some of the day off and then I would make it up in the evening. So I would be exhausted. And at some point, I decided it's important for me to take these days. But then I started looking at my sick days because sometimes I forgot to actually track them. And I noticed the pattern. And this was like the first time that I said, okay, this does not seem accidental. You know, I work with data in my work every day and I never actually thought to look at myself as data, which is very funny. But this kind of kickstarted this. Eventually, I also did the calorie counting, and I started really getting a bit obsessed about looking at the data of what Daria is, tracking my everything. This was one sign that something was continuously off. But I remember going to my husband and saying, I'm deeply sad. I have no idea where it's coming from. It wasn't here a week ago. And later, like, it's not there a week after. I had 12 days every cycle. And I would be very sad or I would be very angry. And physically, I would feel sick, literally, like all of these things. And I didn't connect all of them because I was also kind of burning out to begin with. I was working for so many years at the same company. Things were getting worse and worse. And you don't treat that kind of burnout the same way because it comes from a source. Especially later, I found out that I also have ADHD, and it's also it changed the way that this burnout behaves. It's also a very common, apparently, ADHD and PMDD is very common to have together. Yeah. And it took me months to actually, I don't know at what point you told somebody, to like the intrusive thoughts, telling somebody I have 4 or 5 plans in my head on how I can kill myself. And it doesn't align with my personality. Not that I'm like the happy, happy, joy, joy all the time person, but I'm definitely like not looking to end things. So yeah, for me, like these two, and it took me really months before I even voiced this as something to my husband. And of course, you're not going to kill yourself. I'm like, I know, but the fact that this crosses my mind is really painful. And at that point, you get like a solution that's aggressive, and I get like nothing because none of my doctors actually found out about this. I'm actually really happy for you that like the first person you told about this knew what this was. This is amazing.
My therapist is amazing because she keeps up on the latest research. She's always learning, which is a great thing to look for in a physician. Yeah, the first time I got on the PMDD support group by the IAMPD Facebook group,
Yeah, I will
and
link them.
yeah, and I saw the kind of posts that people were posting. I was like, oh shit, these are people that understand what I've been going through. I remember I posted once on when I was in a really dark incident, a really bad PMDD episode, and I posted something really authentic and really vulnerable. And I had so much outpouring of support and so many women that just said, I've been there, just, stay strong. And just being able to post somewhere and not have people look at you and go, what's wrong with you, is life changing. And it changes the way you look at yourself, and it gives you the space to give yourself compassion.
Yeah.
So it's really huge to have support.
Yeah. And I think I always have these conversations with people like, why do you need the acronyms? Why do you need to have a title for what you are? And that is exactly it. It's the idea of having access to data, having access to a community, not feeling crazy because,
Yeah.
again, for me, it was months. It was like half a year of going from doctor to a doctor. Part of it I was doing while working and burning out.
All the tests. Here's some antidepressants.
I
Get
didn't
some
get these
rest.
either.
You didn't?
They
Well,
didn't give me that.
they give us those to shut us up and make us go away here in America. So nothing wrong with
Honestly, eventually,
antidepressants.
nothing wrong with antidepressants. This is literally the one thing that helps me now.
Yeah.
And also, honestly, that this is something that for me, when you get a diagnosis, you always have this idea in your head, maybe I'm just making it up.
Yes.
And it's so
Gaslight
annoying. Like,
yourself.
I'm my own worst enemy. Somebody already told you that this is it. You came in and you described feelings, and he said, this is textbook. But then they said, there's a research, escitalopram, and I don't know exactly what's the equivalent in other countries. It's a specific antidepressant for PMDD. If you take it just on the days you are having the symptoms, it's going to help you, which for normal people, it wouldn't do anything. It takes about 2 to 3 weeks to actually start doing anything at all. And it did help me. And I do honestly recommend anyone who has this and has the
Yeah.
access to have this, because that's a quick solution before you
Yeah.
start finding the actual doctor who knows what this is. This gave me such a.
Yeah.
So I do
Relief.
have PMDD.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That validation is really important.
absolutely. So I want to touch on one more thing that you talked about. Because one thing I hear in your case, giving birth had increased the symptoms. I heard a lot of instances where it was actually the opposite. And a lot of people say that, like, during the pregnancy, it's like a brilliant time because you can be yourself, which is funny, when all other women are like going through crazy time. I don't know if you've experienced that, but I guess my question is, how do you feel about the variety of these experiences and the undecisiveness of, like, when you go into these groups and you don't know exactly what's going to help you, what's going to not? How do you handle this?
Like just trying different solutions until you actually land on something that works for you.
I mean, that would be a solution, but it's also a bit of a frustrating one.
Yeah. And it is really frustrating when you have to do a lot of the legwork yourself, when there isn't always a pill that you can take. Like for me, I've tried a lot of medications, but my body metabolizes them really quickly. So the dosage rapidly becomes dangerous for me, and I get a lot of like really bad side effects. So I'm at the point right now where I don't do medications almost at all. So what I've had to do instead is find a lot of holistic solutions
Okay.
like meditation, like different things to balance your nervous system. And I got the hysterectomy, which took care of a lot of it, and learning about a lot of it, like doing your research and reading up on things and doing supplements. I take a lot of different supplements for a lot of different things to support my hormones on a natural way. I totally changed my diet this year. I'm doing AI, it's called AIP, it's autoimmune protocol. So it's no like inflammatory foods. I don't do it exactly, but I've cut out a lot of different things in my diet, just made changes when I've realized that my body needs changes. And that's really all that any of us can do with
Yeah.
our health, our mental health, and our physical health as well. We just have to try different things. And I enjoy trying a lot of different things, absolutely, but just to the best of your ability so that we can all try to heal and feel better.
Yeah, I like that. Basically, what you're saying is we need to try things. The fact that they might not work is okay. Keep as much data as you can and try to listen to your body.
To treat yourself like something that's worthy of being recorded and taken note of and taken care of. I
Yeah.
think a big element that we as women and we as people that have had, health issues come up is that gaslighting. Not allowing yourself to like taking your own body seriously is, I think, a big key, and having that compassion to take care of yourself and put
Yeah,
your health first is a really good message.
absolutely. I think one thing that I really wanted to kind of push for with opening up here on this episode and generally on this podcast is because I'm so infatuated with my career. A lot of times I obsess over this rather than remember that the best version of me, also for my career, but also for me, needs healing, needs soothing, and needs, like, there's different approaches and they give different schemes that you can follow, but making sure that you have your passions and things that you care across. Yeah, as you said, like taking care of your mental health is such an, I want to say underrated, but I'm very happy to say that this is more to do with what I perceive as my generation and the generations that are before me. And I'm very happy to see that it's actually not the case with the younger generations, that they talk a lot more about this and they are more willing. And I think the next step for us would be to be willing to talk about this when it comes to careers. Which brings me to my next question, which is, You went through all of this and also realizing that it's something that's been like there in your life and you can improve the quality of your life now that you're aware of it. What are the things that you do to make it better?
I support myself with a good diet. I am really open with my partner, and he has educated himself as well on PMDD, and so he knows how to support me. And we have a code, actually, because sometimes you have a really bad day and you can't explain, or you don't want to explain yourself. You just need to be done. I call them collapse days. And if I have a collapse day, I need him to know that he's got to pick up the kids and he's got to take over and he's got to handle the things that I would normally handle, and he'll step up and do that. So we have code. And I do things like meditation, and I've sought out a lot of support and made a lot of connections, like a connection with you, Daria, and through the Facebook group where we can talk about it openly. And I just think that being able to talk about it openly is such a huge step in the right direction towards us being able to collectively get answers and healing and individuals as well.
That's amazing. So I think my next question would lead a bit more into the career part because you work very personally with a lot of people that you really care about. Do you open up about it, or do you just take advantage of the fact that you're working from home and trying to make it work?
I do a combination. I'm really open about mental health matters, and especially because of the type of people that I work with, the type of people that I've chosen to work with are compassionate, empathetic individuals that teach compassion and empathy and understand neurodivergency and mental health struggles and all of that. I'll tell them if I'll put an out of office notification and say that I'm having a health day, or I'm going to support my mental health on certain days. Like I just came back from a retreat, um, and they all knew about it and they all celebrated it with me. So the type of people that you choose to surround yourself with really help, because all of us need that support. We need to not have to hide our lives.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you work from home. I think I remember correctly that your partners are actually located in different parts of the country as well.
Yeah, magic of the internet, right?
Absolutely.
I never would have realized or thought about this for myself a few years ago. I was a chemist, so I worked in a lab and I worked a lot of hours, and it definitely wouldn't work for me at this point in my life. So I'm really happy to be able to have learned the skills that I learned. And I started out as a virtual assistant, learning like all the skills like 7 years ago. It's like spreadsheets and appointment booking, and you learn like the basics of websites, back end work, that kind of thing. So this is where I met the women that I'm in business with now. So we kind of learned our chops there, and then we left and establish our own business where we set our rates and we choose our clients and we work directly with them. But we scaled up our services, and I get to specialize in what I went to school for, which was writing.
Yeah,
So,
I actually want to touch on this for a second because my understanding of your previous like life, career life,
yeah.
it was more soft skills. It was more like management, and it was not as technical as it is now. So in a sense, you shifted to a more technical. You know how to work with code, how to structure a website, so that you can give this like big picture solution, and that's
Yeah.
something that's I find very interesting. And I noticed that like a lot of women have this story because we usually I don't want to say directed because we do have a freedom of choice, but it's easier for women to find themselves in soft skills, less than technical positions. I love to see more women kind of saying, I want the independence, I want things to be more interesting, and I want to do what I love, which in your case also includes writing, but also includes being very technical and being very professional about something. Was that something intentional? Did you look for it, or did it just happen?
I kind of fell into it, but grew embraced it as a role, because for a long time I thought about it as something I was doing temporarily until I go back to the other thing. But then I really like found my niche, and I found something that I was passionate about within it, And also, I'm proud of it. I'm proud that I can build a website. I'm proud that I can set up automation funnels. I'm proud that I can do some coding skills. I'm proud of the work that the three of us do together.
You're happy that you can be a provider with this because it's a better
Yeah.
business as well.
Yes, exactly. Sometimes I'll look at jobs around town, and even like the pay of good jobs is so much lower than what I charge because I mean the internet really makes it possible, but me and my partners, we've grown our skills and we've taken it to a different level where we're really doing like coaching, like we're doing business strategy coaching, and then we'll also do it for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's an agency of sort.
Yes,
But because
exactly.
all three of you are skilled, basically, I want to say all three of you acquired such a jack of all trades skill
Yeah.
set
Yeah.
that you can, I assume, also kind of like throw things back and forth and have a lot of collaboration, which is something that,
Yep.
in my experience, and this is not like scientific or anything, but it in companies that I worked in and had more women, we had more collaboration. And I
Yeah.
love that. And I
Yeah.
think it's lovely that you three found each other and have this for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And for our clients, it's they work primarily with one of us, but they get the skill set of all of us and the passion and the drive and the vision and the input. Like we have a Slack channel and we'll toss ideas back and forth for clients all because we love to improve. Like we love to help our clients and think of new ideas and better ideas.
It's the most fun part of a product, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Somebody thought about the business and you get to lift it and like enhance it and bring in
Yeah.
the more like technical abilities. It's such a
Yeah.
fun part.
Yeah, we get a mix of clients. We do work with a lot of clients that are maybe a little bit older and are very unsure of technology and need a lot of help, which we can provide. We do videos and we do instructions and walkthroughs. But then on the other end, I have a client who was a computer designer like in the early 90s or like the early days, and he knows like all the things about all the things, and he's more skilled than I am. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he doesn't do that anymore. He's changed his business. He's gone in a totally different direction. So he needs me for different things. And we don't really even do any technical support. And sometimes he'll throw me a question and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I have to Google it and we'll talk about it together. But then because I'm not going to pretend that I know the answer, he knows that about me. We have an open relationship, so we'll collaborate and we have a collaborative relationship. And that's more valuable, right, than just having someone that
Yes.
either A, knows all the answers or pretends that they knows all the answers, because nobody has all the answers.
Yeah.
My This reminds me of something.
Yeah.
I have relationships with my clients. We're friends and we get to know their lives and we're involved in their lives to the degree that they want them to be, obviously. And my husband's always saying, you shouldn't take things like you can't get into personal relationships in business. And I'm like, why not? Like you maintain this stark divide between family and business, and they never shall mix, oil and water. But why is that good? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I absolutely know what you're saying. I also think I completely agree with you on that one. Because of this podcast, I had the awesome opportunity of talking to people from all over the place. And I did note that United States specifically has this like very down to business approach, not interpersonal. I even had one connection that I made in the United States look at my CV and she said like, why are you putting your guilty pleasures there? Who cares if you like to skateboard or like balance board? And like, I actually got really good feedback on this because people were like, yeah, I love it. You grow chili peppers. It's
Yeah.
like, why do you put that? And then like, yeah, but you know, it's a very, at least in a startup mentality, which is where I like thrive.
Yeah.
I love
And
it.
and honestly, we don't need big businesses. We don't need giant corporations. We just need people and communities and that interchange of ideals. Like we need to get back to smaller communities, like existing within smaller communities, even if the smaller communities are virtual, but
Yeah.
communities that like that support each other and like this is a community, like the community that you're building with your podcast. This is a community, like the PMDD community.
Oh, yeah.
That's where people can get help, can actually get support, can actually get answers.
I
Dog
love it.
is
Ah,
My dog
I'd
is
love
over
it.
here.
I'd love a dog in the picture. How
Oh,
big
you
is the
want
dog? Oh,
Oscar?
puppy.
He's
Lovely.
nipping.
Oh,
Come here, puppy.
oh,
Come
so
here.
lovely.
Let me see.
I
See?
exit the door. Dog is not getting
There he is.
Oh,
Ooh.
he's such a good baby.
Please play with me now. No, he's gonna eat my necklace. No, now he's gonna get my cords. No, okay. Let me go put him out.
All
Oscar.
good.
He's a really good boy. I have chickens. I have chickens.
All
I have a
right, you
little.
said you own your own house, so basically you're living my
Yes.
dream.
Yes, I have a little garden, and I grow chili peppers as well.
Which
Trying to grow.
ones?
I've got a banana pepper. I've got some purple bell peppers, and I have
Mm-hmm.
a Thai chili pepper.
That's so
So you
fun.
do ghost peppers, though, if I remember correctly.
Oh,
No.
I had some ghost peppers. I'm getting better at it and getting worse simultaneously. Like I was so excited. I got all the peppers. I got like everything was going on so well the first year. I don't know why. I made like awesome compost or something. And I had the dream of like I'm gonna grow chickens and I'm gonna be in the. I live in Berlin. I remind you that no garden whatsoever. Like my outside is absolutely green, but I do not get to have chickens. So yeah, maybe one day when Berlin has done its due, and then I'm ready for the next adventure.
Yeah.
But yeah,
There's
I love
time
it.
for chickens in your future. Chickens.
There's always time for chickens in your future.
Yes.
So you have made that privilege, but you do have the privilege of choosing your coworkers and your clients. Would
Yes.
you have any like recommendation for somebody who doesn't necessarily?
I was recently talking to one of my friends who has a very professional. It requires her to maintain a level of professionalism, and she's very private as well, so she doesn't want to communicate a lot of the different health challenges that she's going through to them, which is completely and absolutely understandable. I was just recommending to her that she talk to HR. Sometimes you can go through channels to get disability and that kind of thing, or at least to ask for some sort of flexibility in your schedule. You can just say that you're dealing with personal health challenges. And that's, of course, at least in our country, covered by HIPAA. So if you talk to HR about that and just kind of filed it and went through the right channels, that's what I would do if I had to be in an office setting. She's going to try to move to remote for a few days, which now, this post COVID world, is for a lot of us something that we could do, even if we do have office jobs, or asking for some flexibility in your schedule, or asking for an accommodation where maybe you need to leave early or not come in and you can make it up a different time. Yeah, you just need communication is key in everything.
I like what you're saying basically. There are systems there, not just for neurodivergent or for people with mental health issues, that are meant to make your life easier if you have any hardship mentally, and to use them basically. Because, I mean, just like in my case, right? I took so many sick leaves, but I also took ownership of my position.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great indication of my company. And we've talked to some other people here in this podcast who had similar experience where they came and they said whether they had the choice or not. Some of them just collapsed during work. And they said, I need to stop for a second. I need to take care of this. And because we're working with people, I think in most cases you will get a positive reaction to this if you take the ownership and do this.
Yeah.
I think your point here is very valid. Like the systems are there. We could get them better. We could be more flexible because not all companies support work from home.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's interesting about suggesting this as a solution, besides the fact that it's supposedly like the obvious, but it's not really.
It's the
Yeah,
obvious solution, but it's the one that we're told we're not ever supposed to do. We're not ever supposed to tell anybody that we need to, we're not supposed to ask for help. You shouldn't need help. Why do you have needs? You're supposed to just be a robot or whatever. And that's what we tell ourselves. And it's silly when you say it out loud, but it's what we
Yeah.
say. It's what we do
I
to
mean,
ourselves.
I give myself very good advice. Like, I would definitely give this advice for somebody else, but I would wait until the very last minute to actually ask for help.
Yes.
And I'm getting better
Yes.
at this because I understand that it's ridiculous and it's doing no one favors. Really, because you're not helping. If you're not asking for help, you're just creating more clutter. And everybody's going through something.
I mean, it's the nature of the human condition, suffering and joy, and you can't have one without the other. So you have to have that cycle, and everybody is having an experience. The more empathy and compassion that we can extend to each other as we're having those experiences, the better.
Yeah. I also want to note that this is the positive approach, right? And that means being also very lucky because we all know that not all companies are empathetic, not all companies sees their employers as human beings, and you don't always have the privilege to just wait for the next one, especially not in this time, right? In this
Yeah.
economy.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything you feel like you wanted to touch and we haven't?
No, I think I am totally spent.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I know it's in a good way. It's cathartic. I have released it all to you. Now I want to go take a nap.
I think it's okay. It's a conversation. Like it's an interview, but it's also more of a conversation than anything. Yeah, okay, cool. So now comes the point where we do the ending. I'm gonna try and do it a bit more professional because I'm trying to get better. Future Daria here once again. So apparently we did not do an ending, or I have no idea. This is it's a video we've made long ago. So I'm just gonna say to Arianne, really thank you from all of my heart. I don't know where or if we made a recording for the ending. In any case, this was amazing. Thank you so much for your time. This was an opportunity for me to talk about my PMDD. I hope you like it. If you did like it, any subscription, any follow up on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook would be a great help for us to keep growing and making more things. This is not about making money, it's more about making community and hearing the voices of people like Arianne Cooley who have, despite and with their condition, succeeded in making a life that they are very proud of, talking about what we can do, how professional life is so important for us, or successes that we define as professional are worth for us. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like, subscribe, and let me know what you think. Do you know PMDD existed? I definitely didn't until I found out it was something I've been suffering for a few years. And if you didn't, do you want to hear more about this? Let me know in the comments. And from now on, at least, stay odd, and I'll see you in the next one.